My name is Lori Marvin. My preferred pronouns are she, her, and I am the Director of Recruitment with California Volunteers. I am a lifelong volunteer. I started volunteering with local organizations when I was a kid and just loved it. I myself was the recipient of a lot of service coming from an underserved community and an underserved family. And I always wanted to grow up and be that person that could provide that service. And here I am. So that's very cool. Come for full circle. But I volunteered with, leading clothing drives in high school and in college. And in college, I also worked with refugee resettlement. I also was an English teacher for non-native English speakers. And then I joined the Peace Corps and served as a Peace Corps volunteer in Micronesia for just over 2 years as a teacher trainer out there. So this whole service experience, I still serve quite a bit in my free time now. I'm, of course, involved heavily with my kids' schools. I have two little children in elementary school. And I also today serve to support recently arrived refugees and helping to get those folks settled. So service has always had a big piece of my time and attention and had a really deep impact in my life and will continue to do so. It's also had a deep impact in my career. I've benefited in many ways, networking, gaining money to help pay for school and other expenses, having new and unique experiences that I just wouldn't have been exposed to in another like entry-level type of position. Anyway, I could talk about that all day, but we are glad to have you all here with us today for our very first ever virtual recruitment event, where we will hear directly from our service members and fellows about their service experiences. And I'll kick us off today with a brief introduction to California Volunteers and each of the paid service programs we administer. And then our guest MC, Michael Lynch, will lead us in a panel discussion with our 4 panelists who are members and fellows from across California Volunteer service programs. Towards the end of today, we will have time for Q&A, but throughout the event, if questions come to you, use the Q&A feature here in the Zoom webinar, or feel free to add them in the chat box. Our California Volunteers colleague, Keegan, will be addressing those as we move along. We want you to walk away from this event today with a deeper understanding of how engaging in paid service can benefit you directly and your community. So before we begin, I want to start with a poll so that we can set the baseline for what we know already. So please answer this question. Which California Volunteer Service Program do you feel most knowledgeable about right now? Wonderful. Okay. Still coming in like popcorn, y'all. So I'm just going to take a second. All right. That looks really good. So it looks like a lot of folks are familiar with AmeriCorps California. That is our oldest service program in the state, longest standing. It's been around since the 90s. So that makes sense. A lot of folks have heard of California Climate Action Corps and Californians for All College Corps, which is wonderful. But there is always something new to learn. And we will talk more about our Californians for All Youth Jobs Corps, especially our panelist with us today, James Tran. Okay, with that, I will end this poll and we will share results and move forward into a brief overview of California Volunteers and our service programs. So California Volunteers is in the Office of the Governor, and we administer the paid service programs across the state of California, including Californians for All College Corps, Californians for All Youth Jobs Corps, California Climate Action Corps, and AmeriCorps California. And with thousands of members and fellows across the state, when you join these programs, you become part of the largest service force in the country. We will deploy over 10,000 members and fellows across the state to address pressing issues here at home in the coming years. There are many similarities across these service programs. All of them are community-based. This means that community-based organizations partner with California Volunteers. These are organizations like schools, nonprofits, public agencies, tribal communities, and many, many more to address issues like climate action, youth support and education, food insecurity, disaster services, public health education. It really runs the gamut. And our community partners are the ones that identify their own needs, and they select, train, and support our members and fellows to carry out projects to address these critical needs in their areas. Also, all of these roles are paid. So members receive a living stipend and throughout their term of service. And at the end of service, they receive money for college or school, vocational training, paying off student loans. There's a number of ways to use an education award. In all of the roles, you would gain skills and make connections. These roles really stand apart from traditional jobs, especially entry-level jobs, in that you have the opportunity to take on important tasks. You can network with experienced professionals in a variety of fields, and the quality of the training provided, the technical skills gained, and the experiences gained really set these members up for future success in their careers. So those are all benefits that you would gain as a member or fellow with California Volunteers programs. They all have a long-lasting impact in their communities as well. So whether they're planting a community garden, teaching children how to read, leading after-school programs or summer camps in a safe and nurturing environment, or working on trail maintenance or food distribution, these efforts have immediate impacts. They make change for the community today and for years to come. There's also, of course, differences between each program. For example, in some programs, the participants are referred to as members, and in some of them, they're referred to as fellows. The lengths of the service terms vary as well. There are some service terms that are only a few months and others that are 11 or 12 months long. So it does vary. The start dates of the programs vary significantly as well. The largest number of our programs do start in the fall months, but there are programs starting throughout the year. So there's always programs that are open for applications, but not all of them are open year round, okay? The benefits of the programs do vary as well. So the payment amount of the living stipend can vary from program to program, and other benefits that have monetary value can vary as well. For most of our programs, in terms of eligibility and application process, those vary as well. So for most of our programs, folks need to be 17 years of age or 18 or older to apply. However, Youth Jobs Corps accepts applicants only between the ages of 16 to 30 years old, okay? And for most of our programs, you must be a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident to be eligible, while College Corps is in the unique position of welcoming undocumented students as well. So undocumented students that are AB 540 eligible are able to apply to and serve with College Corps as well. Okay. The further nuances include the focus areas of the efforts across programs. For example, of course, California Climate Action Corps specifically focuses on taking climate action through a variety of efforts. Our other service programs also include focus areas of climate action or environmental sustainability. So there's many programs through which we can do climate work. All of our programs address food insecurity or food recovery efforts. And most programs also offer education opportunities too, to work with youth in a school setting or after school or some type of enrichment programs. Sports programs are also common requests. So there are many different types of focus areas. All of the program nuances and details are found on California Volunteers website, and I'm sure Keegan can throw that link in the chat for you all, where you and we're happy to answer your questions in the Q&A box. So today, we really want to focus on the lived experiences of our members, since we have this unique opportunity to get together live rather than going through the nuances of these programs, which we can certainly do offline and via the website and email, etc. Just know that whether you see yourself supporting kids in a classroom or doing trail maintenance or composting or disaster preparedness, there is a fit for you with California Volunteers programs. Now, with that, now that we've set the stage of general information about California Volunteers and our service programs, I want to hand it over to our MC, Michael Lynch. Michael is a leader in service in our state. He is the co-founder and CEO of the education nonprofit Improve Your Tomorrow, where they have dedicated the last 10 years to close the college opportunity gap and improve life outcomes for thousands of young men of color across Northern California. Michael is also on the board of commissioners of California Volunteers. And so he's had the unique experience of helping support our program goals while also engaging directly with members and fellows who are serving with Improve Your Tomorrow. So he's had this really wonderful experience of seeing both sides of that coin. Okay, so without further ado, I will stop talking and hand it over to Michael to tell us a bit about what brought him into the service world and to introduce our panelists and lead a panel discussion.
Yeah, thank you, Lori. Well, I'm excited because we have a phenomenal panel. But keep in mind, y'all, let's ground us in this. 10,000 folks out serving this year. That is phenomenal. I mean, imagine the impact, the lives that are changing, and right, the power of service is transformative because I see it from my own life. I see it every year, every day from young people that we're serving. But what Lori talked about, what grounds me in service is my experience growing up. I grew up in Sacramento and Stockton, where communities, I always like to say, where there was, in neighborhoods and communities where there were tremendously talented people, but very little opportunity for us to thrive. You know, like my friends were equally as ambitious and hardworking, but the neighborhoods and communities which I navigated didn't have the resources always for us to be able to get past the systemic barriers that were in front of us. But I was fortunate. I had a phenomenal father at home. I grew up in a single parent home, phenomenal dad. I played football, and that was my pathway to college. And then in college, when I was in college, one of my friends was shot and killed. And for me, that was a moment where I knew I wanted to come back and serve. Because you know how AmeriCorps is employing the 10,000 members across California. When I was going through high school and my community, that wasn't a prevalent force. So for me, when I thought about service and recognizing that my experiences growing up were so unique, I wanted to make sure that more young people had an opportunity, like to college, because college was a gateway right to a better life. So we created Improve Tomorrow 10 years ago, and like this year, we'll serve 4,400 young men of color across 14 cities. We'll have close to 200 AmeriCorps members who will serve across transforming lives. And this is exactly what this panel is right now. But and I'll back up a little bit. So when we talk about serving in college or serving after college, when I was in college, I went to Cal Poly Humboldt, so 5 hours up north, on the Coastal-Oregon border. And what we see, and what I saw at Cal Poly Humboldt was this disconnect. So I was a recreation aide for the city of Eureka. I got a chance to work in Zane Middle School. I'll never forget, because there was this one young man named Brandon, and throughout the school day, he was supposed to be a troublemaker. So he was constantly getting sent out of class. He was constantly in trouble. But when he would come to my after-school program, when I was in college, he was engaged, he was doing his homework, he was following instructions. Because what I later recognized and reflected on was Brandon looked a lot like me. Brandon saw a mirror. And in Eureka Public Schools, you didn't have a lot of that. You didn't have mirrors which could be able to model what you wanted to be. And Brandon sort of changed his life and graduated high school. Now he's going to do a phenomenal thing. But that was my grounding moment in service. And recognizing that if we could deploy more folks who are focused on serving our community and climate and jobs corps and all these phenomenal ways, we could have a better state in which we all want for today. So what I want to be able to do now is transition and talk to these phenomenal young people who are doing phenomenal work in our community. So the first question is a hard one. Hope you guys are ready. Let's introduce, but tell us your name, what program you're in, and where you're serving at. So we'll start with Richard.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is Richard Angulo. My pronouns are he, him. I go to Sac State, where I'm pursuing my MBA in entrepreneurship and global business. And I've also loved College Core so much, and I believed in the program and the impact that it not only has in our communities, but also with our student body, that I decided to join College Core at more of a student assistant position. So I'm excited to grow and to be on this side of the fence.
And let's go next, James.
Hi, everyone. My name is James Tran. I'm under the Youth Job Corps. I work with the Orange County Conservation Corps at the Orange County Food Bank, preparing food boxes for seniors in need. Every month, we serve about 20,000 food boxes every month for seniors in need.
Let's go next to Aaron. Thank you, James.
Hello, my name is Aaron. My pronouns are he, him. I serve with the Notre Dame Mission Volunteers AmeriCorps, and I serve with Growing Greatness. And we teach we teach youth to like be active. So we ride a lot of bikes. We do a lot of biking, which has been really fun this year. And yeah.
Look, Aaron's job is so phenomenal. He gets paid to ride bikes. So think about that. I didn't just sell you on the experience where I'm sold. Let's go next to Syra.
Hi, everyone. My name is Saida. Pronouns are she, her, and I am a team leader at California Climate Action Corps. This is actually my second term, and I came back because I really love the culture of California Climate Action Corps, and of course, the involvement that I'm engaging in my community, and just love to learn and continue to learn about sustainability and climate action.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, look, as you all can see, phenomenal panelists. We're going to dive in and we're going to learn about their experiences and why they chose to serve. Because we want all of you all on the other side of the computer screen, right, to sign up, like to serve. So we're going to start with you, Syra. Why did you choose to join?
Yeah, so after I graduated, I started a small little business in digital marketing, but I knew that I wanted to do something more involved with my community and specifically in sustainability. So I really followed my curiosity about climate change, climate action, and just really wanted to get involved in the storytelling aspect of it. So that's when I decided to apply, and I got accepted into UCR, where I focused in community involvement, engagement, and a lot of the engagement through digital marketing and storytelling.
Right, so you're able to leverage your stuff you studied to be able to think about how can we change our climate.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a great opportunity to mix my interest and follow my curiosity.
That's phenomenal. Okay, Richard, let's go to you. Right? So why did you choose to join and serve?
Yes. So as I forgot to mention earlier, so I was part of College Core, and my particular area of service was food insecurities. And I not necessarily knew that I wanted to get into food insecurities, but I experienced food insecurities myself. So I knew that, you know, if I could be the hand that the younger Richard needed, how can I be a catalyst for that change? So it really deployed a deep level of empathy, not just the service that I did, but then also looking at the people that were receiving the help. And it was like, you know, I was on your side. I understand what it's like. And, you know, I started recognizing my privileges of attending higher education. And I was like, let's go ahead and let's make some changes.
Changes. Don't we need them, y'all? So don't we need them? Okay, next question. Let's get Aaron and James involved. Okay, Aaron and James, right? So tell us about the day-to-day task that was involved in your service role, and be as detailed as possible about what. And let's start with Aaron, because Aaron's riding bikes, teaching kids how to read. So let's start with Aaron. Go ahead.
Well, I usually have bike club on Thursdays, so that's pretty much the day we ride bikes. Most of the other days I participate in like committees that focus on pedestrian safety and bike safety, and try to gain information about how our city is growing in that sense, like offering better, safer roads for people to bike in. Watsonville was considered one of the highest, out of like cities in California, I believe, and around the United States. It was considered like high for pedestrian and car accidents. And especially like, people getting hit crossing the road or riding bikes. And definitely when we teach kids how to ride bikes on the roads, and we just kind of like educate them about the bike safeties and like the signs and signals. So that's kind of one thing that we focus on, as well as I've been learning about how to build kind of a leadership for the students. So I research a lot of like building leadership, confidence within students. That's kind of the motto of Growing Greatness, is to help them to grow great in the best way that they can grow. So my day-to-day is either doing reconnaissance, getting information, participating in the community, gathering, offering feedback, as well as gaining feedback as to how to better grow our program, and as well as ourselves. So that's pretty much what I do on the day-to-day.
I think the bike safety is critical. Because share a quick. So when I was 12, like not understanding the signals and bike signals and bike safety. I was hit by a car when I was 12 years old, riding across the street. So I can imagine that likely I walked away fine and I was okay, but it was a traumatic experience. So you think about like the work that Aaron's doing. If you don't have a parent that's coming along who's showing you these things, or an older brother, an older sister, like for the most part, most young people don't know. So like the work, even as simple as we as now maybe adults think about bike safety and signals, it's important work that can save lives. Okay, James, what about you, man? So tell us your experience and your day-to-day life as a youth jobs corps.
Sure, of course. The day-to-day experience is it's pretty amazing. I remember I mentioned that we pack about 20,000 food boxes a month. And the thing is, we can't do that alone. So every single day, there's always giant groups of volunteers from companies or other orgs that come in to help. And so part of our duty is to help facilitate that process, show them how to pack the food boxes. If they're running out of a certain food, we go get them. I was trained and certified on a forklift, so I definitely help bring down all the food and things like that. We also help to load up the cars and trucks for the seniors who come to pick up the food. We also do paperwork and process all the seniors that come in who need a new account and all these things. And at times we also go off-site too as well, away from the Orange County hub, to different parts of the city for seniors that can't drive so far or travel so far. So we come and we distribute boxes in other cities across the county as well too.
Yeah, today talked about on the radio on NPR, 17 million families experience like food insecurity. So James, what skills do you think you learned or have learned while driving a forklift, packaging food that you didn't have before?
Oh, definitely for sure, learning how to drive a forklift. But for me, I'd say like the biggest takeaway for me was getting that internal glimpse of how a nonprofit organization actually works from the inside. Because one day in the future, I want to run my own businesses, run my own nonprofit as well too. And it's such an insightful experience to see the day-to-day organization and management of how nonprofits actually work from the inside out. So it's really, really cool seeing how they manage from volunteers to the teams, working and facilitating the whole process. It's pretty amazing learning experience.
Yeah, so you're feeding the world and learning valuable team skills and business skills that's going to help you to propel you in the future. If I haven't told you yet, on applying to be a service member, right? James's story should be okay. So we'll go to the next question, Syra. Tell us about a rewarding experience or story that most captures your service year.
I would say that my most rewarding experience was with the People's Collective for Environmental Justice. We partnered up. It was my first term at UCR, and we partnered up to do a toxic tour in Riverside. And essentially, this tour is to bring awareness around the air pollution and the quality of the air and the effects it has on the community. And just really hearing some of these people that, first of all, didn't even speak English show up and just really tell their stories. Like my daughter, my hija, my hijo, my sobrinos, my nephews, they're getting sick they have asthma, they can't run. And it's all because of all this air pollution around us. And, we really need people to advocate for us and really understand, the impacts that the air pollution is having on our day-to-day lives. And just really seeing the passion in their eyes and in their stories. And then also just reflecting on how it has impacted my family, just really, really touched me. And that's what I knew, that I was in the right path, because I know how air quality and living close to like a train rail and a busy street has impacted the quality of life, not only for myself, but for my mom, who is a cancer survivor. So just really being involved and really being part of that conversation was really rewarding. And now I get to talk to my community members when I go to El Superior or when I go to this indoor swap meet, and I have the opportunity to just kind of talk a little bit of what I'm doing and the importance of being aware and being involved about climate change and climate action.
And how do you think like this experience has propelled you towards your future career goals?
Yeah, I think for me, it's definitely just the community engagement aspect. In the long term, I definitely see myself being in a position of leadership where I can really bring community together to make changes in a political sphere, but also just in a day-to-day life. I know community is super important just for our mental health and our well-being. So just really being able to cultivate that in our communities, I think is really something that I see myself in. The public speaking, the going out to people and introducing myself and, getting out of my shell and really challenging myself to learn and to also share what I'm learning and in a way that's meaningful and impactful, but makes people feel heard and seen. That's really what I see myself doing in the long term and really creating change within my own community and other communities.
Heard and seen is important. Like the greatest challenge we face right now, like as a world, is climate change. And unless people have the tools to be able to respond to it, but then they're lost. So, but the first part of that, before you get tools, is engagement. So the work that Syra's doing, be able to take her skills that she's learned in college and apply directly to something that she cares dearly about, and she's seeing it because now folks are coming up saying, "Listen, my son has asthma. There's cancer clusters, and climate action and climate justice is somewhat disproportional to communities of color, but it's disproportionate to low-income communities, where you'll see fewer tree canopies. It will be right next to industry. So right next to industry of all this bad smoke, and what you have is there's cancer clusters, or our communities, low-income communities, communities of color, located right near freeways. So all of these things matter, and the only way to change it is by engaging the public. So let me get off my soapbox right here. I'm getting excited right about this year of service. So let's go next to you, Richard. What impact do you think your service had on your host community so far, like on your community?
Yes. So a little bit more about what I got involved through Food Insecurities. When I initially signed up for College Core, I was like, okay, I knew I wanted to do Food Insecurities, but my only outlet that I've ever experienced combating that was just food banks. So I was just thinking that I was going to join River City Food Bank, and that was it. But then when I joined Yes to College with Sharon Chandler, one of the aspects of the program was urban farming in Oak Park. And I never knew or even was exposed to the fact that you can empower citizens to grow their own fruits and veggies, that we can go ahead and alleviate food deserts by giving them the own tools to go ahead and grow and cultivate their own fruits and vegetables. Because when I gave my speech at the Mid-Year Leadership at Davis last year, one of the points I said was, they say Sacramento is a farm to fork capital of the world. But when you go to parts of like South Sacramento, that isn't true, where you need a vehicle to get to another to a store, or if you have to walk, then you're going to just your corner store, which is going to be very limited in nutritious foods. So one of the other aspects is that we also empowered senior citizens to grow their own fruits and veggies. So we actually drove out to South Sacramento, and then we gave them a plot. And then it was really cool to follow up and to see, like, oh, baby, come see my little watermelon I grew. And I was like, that's really cool. And I've never worked in a garden before. I've never done anything of that nature. And so when we were working together and I was able just to snap up okra from the branch and eat it, I was like, wait, you can just eat food off a branch? Like I never, I was such a city person that I was like, wait, I thought you had to go to a store and buy it. So that's what, it not only impacted my community of us able to cultivate the fruits that we would start in the winter and that would eventually go and harvest in the spring, that we actually donated that. And then we also had that option to work with senior citizens to go ahead and empower them and to break free from food deserts.
So part of solving the food insecurity problem, right, that we have sort of across California and across the country, you're telling me is that we can grow our own food.
Yeah. I never even thought that you could. I hate to say it like that as a city person, but like then once you start driving by these places and you start driving by like a park or even little plots in San Francisco, that there is an active, thriving community right in front of you, and that even outlets such as open refrigerators. That's another aspect of food insecurity is yes, you have the food, but where do you store it, and how can you span that out for a week? Then it's like things start changing in your mind and you start recognizing that farmers markets are a critical aspect of solving food insecurities, to go into these neighborhoods, CalFresh, and able to use that money and to give that over to a token that empowers those people. And it's just really, at the end of the day, it's removing the stigma associated with seeking resources. And that's what it's really about. It's saying, hey, I have a need. I shouldn't be ashamed to ask for help.
Now, Richard, how much of this did you know before your College Core service year?
No, none at all. Honestly, I just was just like, oh, you go to farmers market and everybody's getting the flowers, they're getting this. But then I never been to South Sacramento. I've never been to these parts of the neighborhoods. And that's when things started like kind of clicking in my mind that everything is an essential cog in a wheel to combat food insecurities. River City Food Bank and food drives is as essential as growing your own foods, is as essential as satellite refrigerators and things like that, and as essential as CalFresh programs. So yeah, it really kind of changed. Once I was so in the micro of it, of your day-to-day walking by events and things like that, then once you start understanding and you get pulled back a little bit more and you see the macro of it and see how everything works, and you're like, oh wow, there are so many facets to this diamond of food insecurities that we can go ahead and try to solve. And everybody does their own part, but it's not just one way.
Yeah. Well, look, y'all, if I had a mic, I would drop it right now. Because if you go from like one understanding that this is like you understand the ecosystem, you have to understand the problem. I guarantee a lot of folks on this call care deeply about something, whether it's climate, whether it's whether it's education, various different vehicles in which we're all serving and working in. You have to understand the problem, and that's what being a service member allows you to understand the problem, like understand solutions. Okay, now let's go to Richard and Aaron. Let's start with Richard. How has service impacted your career path?
So I originally got into Sac State going for my undergrad in marketing. I've always been in luxury sales, and then I went into hospitality sales. And before that, I was just like, oh, okay, I wanted to be a driving force. I wanted to be in marketing, stuff like that. But then in my senior year, when I did Californians for All, it clicked and things started changing. Then I started recognizing my privileges of attaining higher education and the position that I've been held through because of everybody, the support and love from my friends and family, the support and love through my peers and my professors that enabled me to go ahead and pursue this. So then after actually doing the service, I slowly was like, is this something you want to do? Do you want to go back into sales and be chewed up and spit out? And like, if you're not able to meet this quota, and at the end of the day, it's like, is this really fulfilling? Like, is this something that you want to continue doing? So actually getting out there, not only just doing with the food insecurities, but connecting with my peers and seeing the impact that it has on not just Sacramento, but my Hornet Hive, stairs up, that I started realizing like, wow, this is something that you can do. You can you can have a career in public service and have a viable living. And that's the one thing that that's always kind of, again, the word stigma is that you can't make a living in working in a nonprofit. No, you can. You can actually do these things. And I think that for me, Californians for All bridges that gap for college students. It says, hey, we can get you into these non-traditional paid internships, but we can give you this $10,000 stipend. And another thing for me that I recognized was that students who were, attaining their teaching credential, they need 40 hours under their belt, but a lot of the schools that they go to aren't able to pay them. Californians for All bridges that gap. That gives them a living stipend every month. And then at the end, you get that educational reward. I plan on using that reward to like, hey, I just got out of school. This money can be used to go ahead and pay for my student loans while I get everything lined up. So, in a way.
One second, Richard. I want to make sure we all have a chance. That's phenomenal. But I want to hear from everybody for this question. Let's go to James. How has your service year impacted your future career?
So like I said earlier, the biggest takeaway for me definitely is that glimpse into the nonprofit work and how that runs. Because I've always wanted to run my own, I've always been inclined towards volunteer service and nonprofits. And I feel like just having this experience has really solidified the confidence and the experience just of being in the field, I guess you'd say, with working directly with a nonprofit, one such as the Orange County Food Bank. So definitely it's a huge takeaway for me.
Support. That's great. Phenomenal service. I think service is going to be the key, as it should be, to this. Let's go to Aaron. Aaron, man, how has this affected your career path?
I think that one of the most important parts about AmeriCorps is that if you come from like a low income kind of household, like being able to receive an opportunity that is really hard to do because, for example, in my case, I've always been working and going to school. There's like nonstop. It's always like work, and school. So it just felt like more work and more work, and it's just part of that hustle mentality. Like, you have to survive. That's just the mentality you grow up with when you're like in that, you grow up in that environment. You're like, man, like I really want to build a better life. So when it comes to the impact in my, like when I first joined AmeriCorps, which was probably 2022, February, I was at a point in my life where I'm like, I've been working for the farmers market for 4 years. I was caregiving at a lake. I was living in an RV. I was like, I was doing things that people my age were not doing. Everyone was like going out and having fun, and I'm over here like, oh man. So it was just like, you know what, like I want to do something that's going to help me to bring me out and like really make an impact and really like connect, right? Growing up, again, Latino, Mexican American, there's this thing there's this word that when you go into a household, they tell you, your elders tell you, "Ve a convivir," go commune with the people and help them out. So to me, when I joined AmeriCorps, it came natural because it's already what I know. It's already what it was expected for me when I was younger, to go and commune with your community. And that's, it's in community, commune, right? A convivir, ve a convivir con tu comunidad. So, I was able to just, that hustle mentality, use it for like a positive way and like really just connect with my community. My first year was hard. I was let go by my site. And so the one thing that I used was, I was bummed out, but I was like, okay, well, I just got to get these hours. Like, I just really got to get these hours. I got to hustle for these hours, I'm still in the program. I'm going to do everything. I went to Habitat for Humanity. I volunteered at so many other nonprofits around my community that now I'm able to share with my teammates and be like, when they're like, oh, I need to go volunteer somewhere. Well, we'll go over here. The other day, one of my teammates, she went to go volunteer at Habitat, and she's like, what do I say? What do I ask? What do I connect with? Just go tell them you're AmeriCorps. But she told me, oh, what's so funny? So I just said, oh, Aaron sent me here. And they're like, oh yeah, we know who that is. Here, let's sign you up and you go volunteer. So it's just making those connections, right? And building your career. Like, I'll be honest, I don't know what I really want to do. I know what I don't want to do. And that comes with the journey too. Like you're gonna know what you're not good at and what you're good at. And one of the things in the positions that we get put in, they're not gonna be the greatest for us, right? But we're not there to complain or say, I'm gonna make this great impact, because sometimes you're not. You're gonna make the smallest impact. You're gonna plant the smallest seed, and it's gonna bring so much more value. The one kid that you work with, the one person that you connect with, the one small little program that you start within these nonprofits are what they're going to grow. And if it grows, it grows. And if it doesn't, it doesn't, right? You can only, set the soil and plant the seed, and whoever caretakes the farming, it's up to them.
That's perfect. Well, that's a good segue, Sire, but I want to just mention something right with the hustle mentality. The hustle mentality for the service, like for the good. Our community is facing lots of challenges, and like it takes the hustle mentality to do it. Let's have Sire close us off with remarks from the panel, but how has this impacted your career? You alluded to a little bit, maybe you can tell us from a new angle, given that you're in marketing and media and communications.
Yeah, well, I could relate to a lot of what Aaron was saying. And this opportunity to be part of California Climate Action Corps really gave me the exposure to a whole new field, to a whole new world, to a whole new wire of connections and people and professionals that I honestly wasn't even aware that there are these career opportunities in sustainability and climate action, specifically also to storytelling and digital media. I was just really, really astonished of how much needs to be done and how much can be done, but also just being able to go to my existing networks and say, hey, this is what's being done in California towards climate action and climate change, and being really proud to say I am part of the change that we all want to see in California, specifically when it comes to sustainability, environmentalism, and just wearing that badge with honor and really carrying the stories that I've seen and witnessed, and being able to share my experiences. I think it has built my credibility, my experience, my passion. I think people can see clearly. And I really just, my confidence has gone to a whole nother level because I've been able to connect with people, learn from people, be part of the conversation that I was never part of before. And honestly, I was so afraid to go into the space because I didn't have a background in sustainability, environmentalism, climate action, climate change, any of that. But I took the challenge, and I really hope that other people don't feel, embarrassed or shy, or don't want to take the challenge to dive into something new or different that they have never done before, because it's all a learning process, and there's people out there that want you to be part of the conversation in this space, especially for people of color. I think we need more of us to be in spaces like this to be able to advocate for our communities.
Yeah, if I can drop the mic, I would literally drop the mic right now. Cyrus was spot on. We'll end with this before I pass it over to Lori, and then we go from a question and answer period. If you think about California is 40 million people, like we're huge, right? We're 12% of the U.S. population. We are a big state. We have 10,000 people serving right now. But in order for us to build the community we want to have, it takes more of us. It takes folks to be able to sacrifice and serve, but also, as you can see from the stories of our panelists, it is impactful and rewarding and will impact your career. And I'll end with this. I went to Cal Poly Humboldt for my undergrad, go Lumberjacks. And in Cal Poly Humboldt, the backyard of the school is a 600-acre redwood forest. And what you understand, kind of what Aaron talked about, the seeds that plant. But the key to the longevity of the redwood tree and the redwood forest is the roots. In the forest, all of the trees, the trees that last the longest and are the biggest, they're connected to each other. So you have this huge forest, lots of tall redwood trees that will last hundreds of years, and they're connected to each other, which means that through drought, through fire, through disease, through any other natural disaster that comes this way, they survive. The ones that are connected, it's because of community. So the 10,000 members that are serving folks are being connected in community to be able to ensure that more folks have the ability to survive past whatever comes around us. So I'll end there, and I'll pass over to Lori to show us some of our panelists in action.
You guys, I'm so choked up. You're just the best. This is my favorite type of event. I want to hear everybody's life story and all their ties of service and all. I just love it so much. Okay. We are going to take some time here to see our members and fellows in action. And I'm going to kick it off with Richard to very quickly describe to us what we're seeing in just maybe one or two of these photos really briefly, so we have plenty of time for Q&A from our audience.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm all smiles because man, this was such a great wild ride, but to see this again. So in the upper left-hand corner, that's me, that's Sharon Chandler in the blue, and that's Ye Min Ya. And these are very powerful women that I've interacted. Ye Min Ya has a very extensive background working with AmeriCorps as well, students of urban farming. And right in the middle, that's me and Sharon going to our swearing ceremony. And then we were able to take a snap with Gavin Newsom. So that was a very special experience to understand that I was part of something larger. And then all the way to the last picture, that's the garden that I worked in. And those are the beds that I would actually go ahead and we would start from the bottom. We would have to put manure down. We would have to put dirt down, plant the seeds, and then cultivate that through the year. And then eventually, after we got all those veggies, we would donate them. So that's what really happened. It was really cool.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. All right. Saira, I'm sorry. Saira, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so right onto your left, you have an activity going on here. We did tabling at UCR to bring awareness around sustainability and some of the programs that we have. And then right here in the middle, it's me and also my fellow fellows. We hosted a composting workshop for the youth, which was super cool, super fun. And then onto the right, it was our end of year celebration where we awarded students that were graduating from the sustainability office, but also to bring attention to all the progress that the program has made throughout the year. So yeah, that's kind of some of the stuff that I was involved in planning, coordinating, making sure that we're staying engaged and involved.
And are you still in touch with your colleagues from your first year of service?
Yeah, we have a chat in our phones, and yeah, we stay up to date. One of them is actually working for the sustainability office in Sacramento right after his fellow. Maria, which is a girl in the burgundy and in the burgundy dress, she's going to pursue her master's at Cal State Long Beach. So yeah, and Ray, she is just so passionate, and she's going to continue doing research in sustainability. Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. All right. Next up, we've got Aaron. Aaron, why is there a box on your head? I wanted to know this since you sent me this photo.
Yeah, there's this bus called the physics bus that travels around the country, and it came through at the school I was serving at for summer school. So they have like this weird, I think it's like a projector lens. They taped it to a garbage can. Yeah. So I just put it on. It's really cool. It looks really weird, but yeah, I was like, perfect. Just yeah, perfect situation for a picture. What's it called? Yeah, I was working with middle schoolers, and I mean, it all varies, right? Different ages, ranges. Middle school was very tough. I think it was a good challenge, pretty much. And I asked for it. I was like, get me in a middle school, and I asked for the challenge. I got a good challenge. And then for summer school, they put me at a elementary, and that was really like more like a laid back kind of like I'm working with small kids, so it's super fun, just playing basketball, football, just enjoying the fun out of working with smaller kids. So I was having so much fun for summer school and just connecting with the kids. The second picture with the frame, that was we have a local small little I think Comic-Con, but it was like a fanime kind of thing. So I said, oh, I don't have a costume. So I said, what am I? And I said, oh, you know what? I'll just wear my AmeriCorps shirt. And
Aww.
yeah, so
way to represent, Aaron. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The third picture is volunteering at the Wetlands Watch. So the Wetlands Watch is a local nonprofit here in Watsonville that focuses a lot on like the climate. I think it focuses a lot on like coastal restoration. I apologize. So there's a
Wonderful.
lot of sloughs and rivers here in Watsonville. We're about like a couple of miles down from the beach here. We're really close. So they focus a lot on like the importance of the ecology and how the sloughs filter out the water that goes to the ocean, and especially in the river. Last year, during this time was the storms, and the town right next to us across the bridge flooded, and it showed how much it's important to maintain the river and just it was a very big impactful thing that happened to us, and a lot of people lost their houses, and it was pretty intense. So they're a really awesome nonprofit that just teaches us about our local ecology, ecosystem, and just the animals and help to maintain it as well. So
Yeah. Well, thank you for continuing to plant your seeds and growing roots there to commune with that community, Aaron. That's so cool. All right, James, what are we seeing? These look like photos from your food distribution, but this place is huge.
Yes, correct. This is the Orange County Food Bank, and all the members in Orange are part of the Youth Job Corps that we work together with. And if you see the mass of people in the background, they are actually volunteers that come in. They aren't always the same volunteers every single day. This time, I believe this was AAA, if I remember correctly. So they are on the line, on the assembly line, packing the food, and there's a lot of us in the background pre-opening the food boxes to make it easier and faster. So we're all basically just contributing together to pack these food boxes. And what's cool about this is a lot of times the volunteers that come in, they don't really know it, but so I tell them that you guys don't really see it, but when we actually hand deliver these boxes to the seniors, they have like the biggest and warmest smiles on their faces. So, best believe you guys are doing a lot of work. So there's a huge impact and into all this work that they're doing.
Oh,
That's it. Yeah.
what a lovely image to think of the reaction of these folks that are receiving these packages. Okay, with that, I'm going to stop sharing and hand it back to Michael for Q&A with the audience.
Okay, so we have an opportunity to do some direct question and answer. So bring them to us. You can drop them in the Q&A box, right? That's correct, Lori?
That's right. Drop in the Q&A box or in the chat. And there was a question that came in earlier, specifically for Richard. Is part of solving food insecurity not only access to fruits and vegetables, but teaching people how to prepare and cook the foods into meals? So was part of that some of the work that the efforts that they do with Yes to College or other food insecurity organizations you've worked with or others have worked with on the panel?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because in that first picture, I forgot to mention the fruits and veggies that they were actually showcasing. We just cultivated that day. So that was my first interaction with Yes to College and food insecurity. They're like, let's go ahead and let's grab some of the veggies from the branch and let's go ahead and cut it up. We didn't necessarily teach people how to cook. I think that's kind of more of a different segue. We were there to actually how to empower people to grow their own fruits and veggies. But I'm not opposed to like learning. I can make a mean cereal and that's about it. So we'll go from there.
Yeah, we have another question. What are the opportunities for seniors? I think it's endless. I mean, AmeriCorps, there is no age limit. Well, now maybe there is. Lori, maybe Lori Keaton.
That's right. So there's no upper age limit for any of the programs except for Youth Jobs Corps, which is specifically for folks 16 to 30 years old. But the other programs, there's no upper age limit. And I would say in particular, California Climate Action Corps and AmeriCorps California, because those are, anyone who is a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident at this time, they can apply to them who are 17 or 18 or above. They really appreciate folks with more experience as well. So there's opportunities to get involved no matter your experience level or age.
But a couple of years ago, I can expand a bit. A couple of years ago, we had someone serving with in our mentor fellowship, our American program, who was in their mid-50s. They were going through. I saw this question around a second career. They were leaving one thing and wanted to do another thing and wanted to get experience in education. So they came and served with IYT for a period of time.
That's right. I have met several folks who are full-time parents, and they join part-time AmeriCorps programs or full-time AmeriCorps programs that have just flexibility in scheduling. That is another benefit that can be unique to this experience, is that folks recognize that you have families and other obligations, and so just it's a really nurturing and supportive environment. And Richard, I would say too that I've met College Corps fellows that are amongst a great age diversity as well. They're not all folks in their early 20s.
And that's what I love about the program, is that it causes equity across the board. It doesn't matter what your age. It doesn't matter if you're federally funded. It doesn't matter if you're a DACA or not DACA. Everybody gets a chance, and everybody can have that experience and also live with a monthly stipend and educational reward. That's why it got me so excited. And that's why eventually my career choice would be under the Office of the Governor for California Volunteers. So we'll see.
You have an applicant here with an MBA.
Right. Okay. I have another question in the chat, and I'm keeping an eye on the clock here too. So a quick question from Jacob. Does California Climate Action Corps have opportunities in wildfire prevention, wetlands management, or GIS? And yes, so wildfire resiliency is one of the focus areas of that program. So absolutely, you can learn more on California Volunteers website. And it has a list of all of the current programs that are the actual projects and the community-based organizations that they're partnering with for that program. And to Ajay, AmeriCorps, do we just look at the website to learn about our programs? Yes, you can. You are also welcome to email, and I'll leave it to Keegan to put contact information in the chat to follow up on that as well. Okay, great. Now,
Lori, I also want to add for Jacob, there are also AmeriCorps programs that do wildlife prevention, wetlands management, and I can share those in the chat.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, do a shameless plug, y'all. We're still hot. I'm gonna drop Improve You tomorrow in the chat. If you want a phenomenal place to be able to serve, check out the Mentor Fellowship. We always have opportunities to be able to serve and apply.
Right. Okay, wonderful. Now I have another poll for the audience before we move on to just closing out, and I'm going to launch it now. I want to hear about what you've learned. So which California Volunteer Service programs do you feel like you learned something new about today? Okay. Oh gosh, it's still coming in like popcorn, y'all. It's coming in hot. Okay. I'm going to close this out. Share results. I don't know if it's going to let me share results. It's being testy. Uh-oh. Zoom has a 500 internal server error. That's okay. I will share out that 62% of respondents said that they learned something new about all of our programs. Otherwise, it was about a quarter of folks for each of the others, because this is a multiple choice, said that they learned something new about each of the 4 service programs. So that's wonderful. It means we all did a good job sharing our experiences and that information. Now, with that, I am going to ask you all to engage with us on social media. So please go to the website to learn any program details that you'd like. But before I let you go, I'm going to put a link in here for you to engage with California Volunteers on social media. You can follow us. You can see more stories and more photos of service members and fellows in action. And one last plug, when we do end this session, a survey will automatically pop up on your screen. It's literally 3 very short questions. So it would be helpful for us to help shape future events. So we learn, what do you most want to hear about? What do you want to learn about? Is it more volunteer or member experiences? What are you looking for? So please let me know so I can do my job better. With that, I will close out with a very sincere thank you to Michael, Sarai, James, Richard, and Aaron for your help. Keegan and Mary in the chat and Q&A boxes. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today. Really sincerely appreciate you. You are all truly change makers for our state. And I look forward to watching your careers continue to grow. and we'll be in touch.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so
everyone.
much. It was a great opportunity.
Thank you. Bye.